And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure of the energy that surrounds us. And I'm your host, Michael. And tonight's guest is a unique guest in that he is a dear friend of mine. And also, he was on the original show before we rebranded. And I was surprised when I reached out to him to see that this is his first appearance on the rebranded show. And so I am so grateful to have him on. He is an extremely well versed and knowledgeable and has many talents. And so before I just ramble on and just keep spewing his talents and, making him blush more and more, I am going to hand it off to him to introduce himself to you all. I give you the one, the only photographic extraordinaire experiencer in the paranormal and also occasionally with the weather, John John. And I'm going to see if I can do this right. I've been practicing Montelongo.
Oh shit, you got it.
Yes!
How's it going, man?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Just dealing with this all this rain that hit my yard and trying to see if I got a flood back there or not.
Oh, yeah.
But been doing good.
And so, for those that may be watching and, missed your first appearance back in 2022,
Hmm.
wow, can't believe it's been that long.
Holy shit. Okay. Dang.
Can you give a brief update to everyone of what you do in the paranormal and your
Hmm.
photography and everything?
Yeah. So I guess the let's start with the photography side. So the photography side of things that started when I was in middle school. And I picked a had an interest in it, and that was kind of off going off like the National Geographic magazines, and just kind of got inspired by all that, and just looking at the black and white photos there, and back then I kind of had like a hard time kind of trying to read, I couldn't pick up words really fast enough, so like looking at pictures was more impactful for me. So picking up those National Geographic magazines and looking at the photos and just looking at him gave me like a big story about what was going on without having to read, what was actually going on in the article. So that kind of just inspired me to like pick up a camera. And back then, as a kid, we couldn't really afford like an expensive camera. So like it was either like Super Nintendo or a camera. So like, of
Right.
course, I'm gonna get the Nintendo. So, but anyways, yeah, I just kind of picked it up and just bought the throwaway cameras and stuff like that. And I used to shoot whenever I shot, and that's about it. And back then, I really didn't know anything about film or anything too much. Like I said, I just either would get my camera after I finished it and just put it somewhere in the drawer, and then we would move, and I would completely forget about it or whatever. So that's how I started photography, and then when I moved here to Texas, it kind of just picked up a little bit more, and then finally one day I just bought myself an actual camera and haven't put it down since. I've been shooting now for almost 25 years, 26 years. I think I'm going 27 actually. But yeah, I shot everything from concerts and models and storm chasing, and my love for the paranormal kicked in too, as well as that. And I just wanted to get intertwined with my photography and bring that together, so which is now what I do now. And but the paranormal stuff, that has, man, since I was a toddler, it was my first experience. So like you could say my entire life has been, you know, surrounded by, the paranormal and stuff like that. So this was nothing like a hobby. This was just part of life, so just picked it up and went from there, and this is where I'm at now.
And I have to agree with you because I like taking photos as well.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll take pictures that I have in color and I'll look at them and I'll be like, well, this is nice and everything. And then I'll take the color out and go, hey, let's make this black and white. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the photo.
Yeah.
That's really showing. And I agree. The black and white somehow brings out more of the life of the picture, I think, than the
Yeah.
color version.
Yeah. Yeah. On my email at the very bottom, it says all the colors of the world are the brightest in black and white. You know, 'cause that's how I see the world now. Is if I walk out there, all I'm seeing now is just black and white, and how I want to take it. You know, I'm not really too keen on the color side, but you know, if somebody hires me, it's right there in the little contract. Like, if I feel like I need to put a photo in a black and white one, then I'm going to do it. I have the freedom to. And you just signed it. So
And I think, did you ever hear? Because I heard when I was growing up, when you would go into like the places that were like photo galleries and everything,
mhm.
you would hear the people discussing the photos. And when they were in the black and white ones, they would go, yeah, this is, where we're capturing the essence of this, and this.
Mhm.
And then when they got to the colors, they're like, yeah, you like the color of this. It's like the essence wasn't in the color photo.
Yeah.
They would bring it up in the black and white photo. And I always thought that was interesting to hear them
Mhm.
say that. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, with you humbly, being an award winning photographer,
Mhm.
do you feel like you do get more of the essence and more of the spirit of what you're photographing in the black and white?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's more of like the story that is there. So, like, um, you may or may not know, but I recently been doing a lot of like abandoned places and stuff like that, even old historical places. But I kind of feel like when I'm there, it's it takes me back to how it used to look. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. But at the same time, it's more impactful in black and white because you're actually getting there's no hidden truths in the black and white. You know, there's no colors there that's gonna change your mind or whatever think how everything is gonna look. So in black and white, you just kind of see it for what it is, the beauty for what it is. You know how the building used to look, whatever it may be for you. But to me, I just kind of see it as like you bring out all the truth in that building or whatever it is that you're shooting, and that you put that black and white filter on it or however they do it. They do it themselves as far as editors are, but it just seems like there's no hidden truth there. Everything is just how you see it, and like how they say the word you see the world in black and white. Sometimes that's how it is, But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just more impactful when you can tell the whole story, just as the black and white photo, you know.
And I know you can't like speak for cultures,
Mm-hmm.
in general, but as a photographer, when you're taking pictures,
Yeah.
when you hear of like people saying, I can't have my picture taken because you're stealing a part of who I am in that photo, have you ever like felt like that, or how would you handle that if someone said that
I
to you?
I have never ran into anybody who has told me that, but with all due respect, because sometimes I do community events or big events that are going on that the newspaper sends me out to. If there's somebody there who doesn't want to be have the photo taken, then I'll tell them how. Yeah, I mean, I'll delete it or whatever. I won't send it. I mean, I'm not there to cause any type of drama or anything already. What's going on? Because when I'm there at a location, if it's either a protest or whatever, there's already things going on, and I just don't need to add extra fuel to the fire. Just because it's a photo. But like I said, I mean, if it's a child that's in the photo, I make sure to get permission. I make sure I do all my due diligence so that way, I don't start anything because like I have a baby too, and I don't like we don't want her photo out and about right now because we're trying to have that privacy, with her because there's so many. We want to get into this part, but there's so many things out there as far as like people stealing images and then putting them on websites and all this other stuff. So, in a way, this is the way that we're protecting our daughter. is try not to have her photo out there. So when somebody is asking me like, "Hey, please don't do that," I mean, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. They may not want it out there for a reason. So I'm just going to be okay. That's fine. I'll delete it, or this is one I'm not going to submit. So but yeah, as far as what you said, no, I've never ran into anybody who's asked me. But I've heard like on other documentaries where there's people that believe that a photo of a person, it kind of stills like their essence a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say cultures. I don't think it's cultures, but maybe it's like I don't know, like a myth or something like that. That they're talking about, or folklore. When a photo is taken and a part of them has been stolen or something like that. And that's the case, then man, I ain't got nothing left. I got a whole bunch of selfies.
No kidding. But I say cultures because I hear of it with like African tribes or
Mm,
indigenous tribes. They were,
mm,
saying that when the cameras first started coming, and they're like, wait, you're stealing my part of my essence
mm,
on that photo. So, no, I don't want that. And so I viewed it as cultural to kind of say, this group of people instead of saying individual because I figured with your work, you kind of may have crossed paths with them. And so I was trying to
mm.
speak to that instead of case
Nah,
by case because that would take forever to talk about.
nah, yeah. I've never encountered anybody like that so far. But I mean, like I said, I mean, photos can be used for anything. I mean, I've seen a big part of what witchcraft can do when it's just with somebody's photo. So there's reasons out there. I believe there is, but my job is a photographer, so I'm out there to shoot. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, and not to get you in any troubles with anybody or any, company or anything, but what's your feeling of taking a photo for yourself versus going online to like Canva and saying, "Hey AI, can you make this into a photo?" and people using it
You
and
want me to
saying,
get you started on that, man? Well, it's really so it's not just because I'm a photographer. It's also because of my business, Artist Showcase. So I deal with a lot of artists already, visual artists or whatever it may be. I host gallery shows and all this other stuff for them. So I do understand where they come from when, hey, I think AI is cheating because they're taking a job away from me. There's no creative spirit there. There's no behind the scenes and the thinking part of actually creating something and putting your inspiration and whatever it is into that painting or whatever it may be. It lacks soul, for lack of a better word. So
I
I
agree.
mean,
That's my argument is
yeah.
like I heard um someone playing their daughter singing and
Hmm.
then her daughter recorded it through AI because that's what the studio wanted.
Yeah.
And a lot of people at the table were like, I couldn't tell you what the difference is. And I said, that one is your daughter. And he goes, yeah, how did you know? I said, the other one, it didn't have emotion behind it. I couldn't feel anything from the
Yeah.
lyrics.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
There's
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm wondering in your perspective in the art world, if you come across the same thing, there's nothing behind the AI image where when you see something that someone brings in, you're like, I can feel
Yeah.
everything that you were putting into that painting or that picture.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
AI, there's nothing there. So there's nothing to feel.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I come from both worlds. So like being an artist, working with artists, and at the same time, here's my business and I need to promote it. So I can't sit forever and draw up a flyer or whatever it may be. So yeah, I know some people that will run it through like AI engine and just get it done real quick, type it up what they need, and then it pops up. Okay, and then put it out there. they don't got to spend 4 or 5 hours just trying to design a flyer, which in some cases, I mean, it does look better, when you're designing it because you're putting it there and you're doing it yourself. But
Yeah.
for some people who are just like the type of people who are just, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go, fast pace, and get this flyer out. I need to do it now. I can see where the AI comes in. But if you're trying to design art and then you're not really putting a pencil in or anything or a paintbrush to it, yeah, I can kind of see where it kills, the vibe of it. Which a lot of galleries now are not accepting any AI artwork at all. So they refuse to show them in their galleries or any pop up shows or anything like that. So there's people out there taking a stand. I, for one, do not allow AI in my shows. So I mean, if you are an AI artist, then too bad you can't show at my shows. But but
Well,
there are some out there that will allow AI art. So
yeah. In the paranormal, I see a lot of people using like AI to, showcase them at a location.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm okay with that because I mean, like you and I, how many times have we gone on location and then we get
Mhm.
home and we realize I never took a picture with me at the location? And so you're like, hey, AI, you could easily, quickly generate it. And you're not
Mhm.
selling it as look at this experience. You're just saying, here, I was here.
Yeah.
And so that's a little different, but
Yeah, if they were trying to get AI to review evidence and all this other shit, I'd be like, yeah, how do you know AI didn't put that in there?
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I know a group that uh, I haven't met him, but I know I'm kind of like good friends with him on Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. His name's Daniel Dunn, and he's with Paraholics. But his like cover art, I'm if you're not, I mean, if he's not using AI, then I apologize, Daniel. But it looks like it's AI, but the way he does it is like a comic book strip, like how the one I sent to you. I was kind of
Right.
like, his stuff is actually pretty good, but it's just the cover art. It doesn't. He doesn't use AI for review or anything like that. But that's cool because you're showcasing a location, you're showcasing the people around you, and it just looks cool. And maybe people want to click on it just to see what's it about. So I mean, yeah, that's cool. But
Yeah.
when it comes to like evidence, stay away from that.
Yeah, I would agree. And I even, when I'm writing my books, though, I will stay away from AI
Mm-hmm.
writing anything in my books because my thought is if I hand you a book and you flip through and you're like, hey, Mike, you said you were here and, this happened and this happened. I don't remember you ever talking about that. And I have to sit there and go, huh?
What?
What? And go, oh, that was the AI bit,
Oh,
you
geez.
know, because it's like I wouldn't recall it because it's not my words. Where if it's, me when you say, oh, you experienced this at this location, I'm like, yeah, this is what happened. And it's like I start telling the story
Mm-hmm.
because it's my words, my experience triggers the memory where AI, my worry is, am I not going to get triggered by the memory? Yeah, everyone's going to question now everything in that book because I couldn't speak to this because
Yeah.
it wasn't my words.
No, I get you. I mean, I had to use AI for contracts and stuff like that. With business, so like maybe that's two totally different things. But like you know, I'm literally typing it all out, but my brain is so scatterbrained. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to add this, and I'm just adding, and there was just like no way for me to go back and then try to structure it all. And on top of that,
Yeah.
I'm very like, how do you say? I read backwards almost sometimes. So like when I'm typing it out, it's almost the same way. So when you finally read it, you're like, what the hell are you writing about? It's like, so like I throw it to AI and like, hey, structure this the way it's supposed to be, a legal contract or whatever it is, and then it comes out perfect. And I'm like, oh yeah, I made that. I made that,
Yeah, and
but not really.
what's your thoughts, kind of if you're going to location
Mm-hmm.
and we're all used to doing research online and you're not finding much,
Mm-hmm.
but now with AI, people can go, "Hey, what's happened here?" and it does the search for you. Do you give credit and say, "Hey, that's a good tool to kind of get an idea of what you're walking into," or are you like, absolutely not, because I don't know where that's pulling from and if that's even pulling legitimate sources?
Um, Depends on how lazy you are, I guess. Because I don't, I never want to know what I'm going into. I mean, sometimes some locations are just too famous, and you already know what's there and all this other stuff. But going to other people's evidence review or their whatever it is that they left a comment on there, I don't do that. I don't do that at all. Now, as far as my team is concerned, if we're going as a team somewhere, I'll let them know, hey, if you want to go ahead and figure out what's there, go ahead, but do not tell me what's there. I want to go in open minded. I want to go in, this is a mystery box and I just want to figure it out for myself. For me, that's just more exciting because I just want to know and figure it out. I hate going into a place and, oh, yeah, this shadow's there. And I'm kind of already expecting, like, okay, where's the shadows? That's in room 316. Okay, I want to know, based on my experience, if I can get that shadow to come out and see what works, what doesn't work, and all this other stuff. What type of tools does it like or doesn't like, or maybe it likes an energy of a certain person. I want to sit there and figure things out, and not go in there and already have a pre-plan. This is what we're gonna do. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. I mean that goes for everything though. To residential cases, even when I get cases that are residential, I basically just ask them, hey, just give me the basic stuff. Or, well, what's the basic stuff? Do you hear voices? Do you see shadows? Is there knocking? That's the basic stuff. Maybe scratches. And if all that's yes, I'm like, okay, cool. Don't tell me anymore. I will give you a date and we'll go from there. And when I get there, I'm gonna shake your hand, introduce you to myself, and I'm gonna show me how many bedrooms are all there, and then I'm just gonna walk. And then when I come back, I'll tell you what's going on and what I picked up. And I always tell them, if I pick up something and you think it's bullshit, just tell me it's bullshit. Just tell me, just sit there. No, that's not happening. Or yeah, that is happening. And I can tell you right now, like probably 95%, I have hit like 95% of like what's happening in there. The other 10%, is just kind of like, well, maybe not, because so and so is not living there anymore, but still their energy is still there in the room or whatever it may be, and maybe they moved out. So, in that aspect of things, that person may not be there or they pass away, but I still feel that energy presence that is there, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
So we actually have a suggestion from Bethany Deanna. She's saying y'all should check out Base Camp Lindsay in Wichita Falls for an investigation. It's an old abandoned nursing home with a dark history. Bethany, I am actually going with Texas Boo Crew in August. So I have my ticket to go there, and
I love dark history.
you should go, John John. There might still be tickets available.
And August is my busy month, man.
Yeah, I think it's on a Friday too. Even
Mm.
oh yeah, it's on the 14th.
Yeah, I got a wedding. And then how are you gonna make it to my birthday party if that's on the 14th?
Your party's on the 15th.
Yeah, how are you gonna make that? That's a long drive for you.
Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
That's like
Far.
3 hours north of my house.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like a little bit further south. I thought you were
No,
kind of like
no,
between.
I'm
Okay.
like an hour and a half from Oklahoma.
Oh
So
shit. Okay. I thought you were
I'm
further.
3 hours from your place.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Not too bad
Yeah,
then.
I'm like east of Justin. Let me put it that way.
So you're 3 hours from there, and I'm in 3 hours from me. So it would be 6 hours for me to drive. 6 almost seven, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good planning. I have to plan that.
yeah. Oh, Bethany is saying I seen that. I'm one of the volunteers there. Oh yeah, I remember meeting you with Bailey and Chris. I remember you, Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany, let me know how much it costs and all the fine details on that thing, so that way I can maybe try to plan something.
Yeah, and one thing too that's you know as we're talking about like these locations and everything is I know you having the photographic eye and everything. I know you really love when this question comes up, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. Is the photographing of orbs?
Yeah. So I am not a believer in the orbs, especially if you're using a flash outside. I'm kind of like that's probably 99.9% a bug or something, So yeah. Now, there are some where I have seen firsthand, either on the cases that I've been involved with, or somebody has sent me stuff that has been like very questionable, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I mean, I always look for the flashing ones that are just pulsating, and then all of a sudden they stop, and they're just still gliding, and then they're pulsating more, and they're in a place where it has no business being. But my job as a paranormal researcher is trying to debunk what's going on in the first place. I don't care about all the evidence I'm going to gather. My job is to figure out, and mainly it's because residential cases. I'm there to figure out what's going on. And first thing is to debunk. So I'm going to try to look for vents. I'm going to try to look for possible stuff. So that way I can just make sure that okay, everything that I have subtracted in, and I can't still figure out what that orb is doing there. Okay, maybe I might have a good case for something. What's going on, but if you're going to show me something that's outside in the field and it's flash and you're outside in the dark, and right away I'm going to be like, no, that's a bug, man. That is a bug. I mean,
Yeah,
and people can tell me all the shit they want, but in my 20 something years of straight up photography, learning flash, learning natural lighting, learning how the light bounces. I mean, learning all of this stuff, and then bringing it into paranormal in that aspect kind of makes me more of a little bit of a, I don't know what you want to say. The word that nobody likes to use is the expert, because there's no experts in paranormal. But that's where I always beg to differ, because
well, but
just to
you'd be the
say,
expert in photography,
yeah, and I'm still bringing my expertise into the field. So why am
right?
I not a expert in that? It's almost like there's somebody who's worked with electricity all their entire lives, and then they bring that aspect into the paranormal to really debunk a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the house, including the electricity. Why wouldn't that person be an expert in that? That doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, I think because too many people get hung up on paranormal as
yeah,
unexplained, and
yeah,
so if
yeah.
it's unexplained, how can you be an expert in unexplained? And so that's where you know,
But there's always
I
explanations.
yeah, I have been known to say there are no experts in the paranormal because I look at it as going, there are so many possibilities.
Hmm.
There's no one that could sit there and say this is 100% this. So
Yeah,
in that grounds, I say there's no experts. But if
but
someone was to
on
say to
what
me,
on
"Hey,
what
look at this
aspect?
photo.
Yeah,
What do you think here?" I'll go, "Let me go to my friend. He's an expert in photography.
yeah.
He would be able to answer this." And so
You know
I
how
know
many
there's
people hate me. You know how
expertise
many
coming
people hate me.
in, but I mean, I was just using that as an example, but I just mean I know there are people that are experts in electricity, people that are experts in, different fields
Yeah, and
that are
then they bring
sharing
that.
it in the paranormal.
Hmm.
And so, yes, it does help debunk, but
I mean, if you're trying to
yeah,
bring an aspect or figure out an aspect of the supernatural, you know, it really depends on what area are you talking about. If you're just talking about when somebody's dead, the afterlife, yeah, there's no experts on that because nobody's coming back from the dead and being like, oh yeah, this is what happened, so let me write a book. Of
yeah,
course not. Of course not. But if somebody is dedicated their lives, to one aspect, like the photography aspect, if they worked in natural lighting, if they worked in studio lighting, if they know just how in general that particular area works, and they bring it into the field, that does make them an expert in that area. It doesn't make them an expert in electricity because he doesn't have a background in electricity, unless that person does, used to do electrical work, and then for a hobby he did, photography for 30 something years, and he did electrical work for 50 something years. Of course I
yeah,
would listen to that person because I don't know shit about electricity. I'm always the
right,
one that's on YouTube trying not to get electrocuted. So like, so
yeah,
like I would trust that person more than anything else. But at the same time too, I trust more experience than I do anything else. So like, there's somebody who's been in the field for almost, 30 plus years, 40 plus years, and has seen different things, but I have to realize, I have to see like, okay, are you on the aspect of like residential cases, or is it you're just an expert in like going to abandoned places and just dark places like that? It's two totally different things, because one thing does, there's a lot of religious aspects to one thing, and there's not a lot of the other one, in the other one,
yeah.
so it which one are you on, so.
Well, and I also look at it when I look at expertise through experience is, and I include you kind of in this category, is experts that I trust and would say, yes, I would use the word expert,
Hmm.
meaning like you, is because I know you've been in the field longer than I have,
Hmm.
but you're also open to new ideas. But when you get people that are like, oh, I've been in this for 30 years, and they go, this is what it is, this is how it's going to be done. They don't
Hmm.
want to hear from anybody else
Yeah.
that's, new to the field. I'm like, you're not really an expert. You lost the expert category because to me,
Yeah.
experts are always learning, they're always expanding. And so when
Yeah.
you stop that,
Hmm.
you kind of give up that title, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're not a source I'm going to go to because,
Yeah, it's almost like the AI thing. It's like if you don't use it, you're gonna miss out on how technology is moving from you. And with technology moving up, of course, our paranormal equipment is also going to upgrade. So you're gonna have to move with the times and go from there and really see, okay, what what stuff do I like? Do I like to use this new equipment? Do I like to use the old equipment? Do I have better outcomes? For me personally, I like to stay old school, is because there's a lot less technology that surrounds what we're trying to do. um, and oddly enough, I get a lot of great evidence with just using old techniques. I haven't really gotten into the newer stuff because everything now is so expensive. It's kind of like, okay, do I buy this new equipment that's for $500 something dollars, or can I go to this location that's about $500 something dollars? So I'm like,
exactly.
which one do I want to use? I'd rather go to that one, because like for me, going to a new location, I like to get there early. I like to get photographs of the building inside and outside, everything that it has to be there, as far as like what the location is involved in. And then when I get ready to investigate, I already kind of know what equipment I have, know how to use it, and it's almost like muscle memory. When I'm sitting in the dark, because our name is Dark Explorers, and that's for a reason, because we don't use any lighting. we're in the dark, and I like to know. I already know where my voice recorder is, how to push record. Just sitting in the dark, I already know from muscle memory. Bringing in a new tool, man, I would be like flashlight and how does
Yeah.
this thing work and all this other
Why
stuff.
isn't this working? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I've been around other investigators who have like high tech stuff, and I'm just kind of like, that's just a little too much for me to get. I mean, I can go set up a little light somewhere and then get the same results that you're doing with this $500 one. So I'm like, to me, it's just like, okay, I'd rather choose this, because I already have it, and I still get the same results. But
yeah.
that's just me. I
And
guess.
Bethany responded, "The city won't allow us to do overnights due to if one person stay overnight, they consider that someone's staying there, unfortunately." So I guess she was saying you couldn't stay on the location after everybody leaves. You would have to get a hotel if you can't
Uh,
drive home.
I thought she was kind of saying like, if you're locked in, you're locked in. I mean, like, that's fine with me.
And then she says it's $25 a person and they can have up to 20 people.
That's cool. I'll bring it up with my team.
Yeah, and
Uh, if you're on Facebook, Bethany, just send me a friend request or something. Um, I like to get photographs of like locations and stuff like that too. So,
and as you were talking about like, debunking,
mm-hmm.
I can't, you know, let go of the feeling when I was on a location. It was actually the Hood County Jail.
Okay.
And in the museum, in the kitchen area, the little rocking chair started rocking right by my foot. And I said, "Oh, look, it's rocking." And I said, "Now, can you make it stop?" And it stopped.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, so the wind is blowing, making the outfits in the corners move, but it's not really doing anything to the chair. And I went and I bumped it with my leg, and I was like, well, yeah, I got it to rock, but I couldn't get it to stop.
Hmm.
And so I reached out to like Ben Hansen at the time and said, hey, this is what happened. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And it really touched my heart because he goes, congratulations, you have done what is known as a real paranormal investigation. You tried to debunk. So, congratulations on being a true investigator. And I was like, that was so nice of him to say because he doesn't know me from Adam. And it kind of validated that, I was doing the right thing by trying to prove. And so many people will ask me, when you're at an investigation, do what's your thoughts on, everybody who tries to debunk everything? I'm like, you have to, because you can't sit there and go, if you bump a chair and it starts to rock,
Yeah, you got to see why it's rocking.
you don't want to sit there and go, hey, this is a ghost. Look at grandma's here. And then somebody else comes up and bumps it and it starts rocking. And we're like, well, we're not getting anybody. We're not getting anything. Oh, hey, when I bump it, it does this. And then they come to you and go, well, did you bump it? I don't know. And they're like, well, then how are you calling it paranormal?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like your entire credibility gets put into question. And so that's where I think it's important to debunk, because even if it is like on a photograph, I will sit there and I'll take several photographs and I'll even move, slightly, because I'm like, maybe I did move when I took the photo,
Yeah.
and do little series. And if I can't get the image to reappear, I'm like, hey, what do you all think? And I don't claim it's something, I just ask opinion of other people. Hey, have you seen this in a photograph? It only is on one out of several.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't claim, but I know, it's like, where do you draw the line of, being able to say, yes, this is genuine evidence versus I can't really prove, and I don't want to put my reputation on the line because what if I'm wrong? Because I'm not an expert in everything. So, or this or
Yeah, you
that.
had to
And
say that
so
last part, huh? You had to say
we're
that last part.
well, because like like you were saying with photography, there's so many little nuances to taking a picture that if you're
Hmm.
not in that field, you wouldn't know. So you could
Yeah,
have inadvertently caught something, but it's not what you think you caught.
yeah.
And if you're going to put your reputation on the line, it's like someone who's a
Well,
photographer will say, "Yeah, that's this," and you're like, "Oh crap."
yeah. Well, first and foremost, when it comes to my own evidence, if I even remotely think that I bumped something or inadvertently or accidentally did something, I'm not going to put it out there. That's it just feels wrong. Like, just morally, if I have to, if I'm questioning if I even caught anything, as far as like, did I hit it? Did I hit it? Was that a flash? Was there something going on? Was it just cars outside that just kind of came by at the right time and created a shadow? Like, if I have a doubt, even a small doubt, I do not put it out there. I do not. If it's something that I know that I cannot duplicate or anything like that, then I'm going to put it out there because there's no doubt that what I caught is actually something supernatural or whatever was happening. But if I just have like a small doubt, I'm not putting it out there. And as far as like my reputation is concerned, I mean, a lot of people already hate me just because of like I debunk photos a lot, and there's certain teams that send me stuff, and there's another team that's out of the country that sends me stuff because they have a photo from whatever this building is, and I'm like, no, I'll sit there and tear it apart, and I'm like, this is what's happening, blah blah blah. I mean, then on top of that, the other reputation too is because because we are Christian, right? And we are a faith-based team. Um, it's hard for people to see past that and really like, well, you're still doing the devil's work. You're still doing this. You're still doing that. So like, I already have a reputation of being like somebody who's already playing with the devil or whatever it is, and they have no idea who we are, what we are, what we stand for. They have no idea that in our logo contains a scripture from God or whatever it is. They just don't know. They just see that that little mask right there, and they're just like, okay, you're this way. So I mean, as far as my reputation is concerned, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters to me is when I get called to go help a family, I'm going to go help that family. Regardless of somebody thinks that I shouldn't be in Houston because that's their area. Who cares? I'm not there for you. I'm there for them. So that's where that's where
Yeah,
it
exactly. And I have to say one thing, about, knowing you, John John, is I have to respect that, you have your team. And I know I've talked about like, hey, can I join you on this or this? And you're like,
is.
hey, if it's normal investigation, yeah. If we're dealing with this, no. And this is why. And I have to respect you for that because so many people would just say no flat out or well, I don't know, and just not give you a reason. And so
Yeah,
you're like sitting there going, am I not good enough? Am I not experienced enough? Why? But
yeah,
you go the extra mile to say, hey, because we're dealing with this, I don't know how you are in this situation,
yeah,
so it's not a right time for you to be there. And I'm like, I respect that because it's like I have, I can't argue that because it's like, yeah, you don't know what experience I have. I don't know what experience you have. Are we going to clash? Are we going to, work together well?
yeah,
And that's not a situation where you need to be sitting there going, yeah, this is not going to be conducive. So
yeah. I mean,
I really thank you for, doing that.
not a problem because I mean, first and foremost, my first thing is making sure everybody is safe. So like, whenever I mean, whenever my clients are there, I'm checking for their safety. I am making sure everything is right in the right conditions as far as the house is concerned, all that other stuff too. If I have team members there, I'm making sure that they're in the right situation as well. Yeah, there's a couple of them now that are on my team that I had to separate residential cases and actual commercial, just fun cases, because I like them as a friend and all that other stuff, and they're willing to come on, but I don't know them in that aspect when it comes down to like, hey, okay, this family is going through some stuff, and we need to pray over them. And if you are the type of person that doesn't really wholeheartedly believe or have strong faith or even questions it or anything like that, I can't have you with me, because I need somebody who's going to be there and watch my back, you know. And that's the first thing that with team members that I need to have. You know, I mean, if I would have put everybody in the room, I probably would have like 25, 30 team members on my team, you know. But because of the cases that we take on, and because of the how realistic they can be, a lot of team members dropped out because things got too real in their lives and were affected in their lives. You know, so like my first and foremost thing is like to make sure that you guys are okay. If I know the stuff that I have been involved in, and even before I started Dark Explorers, before I started with Mary's team, there's been some stuff that I have been involved in that were just like crazy, just crazy involvement on what's going on. You know, so I have to make sure that whoever's behind me is going to be there for me, and for the person that's behind them is, you know, going to watch them as well. You know, so I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole when I'm like, hey, you know, you can't come. But it's because there's good reasons for it. You know, there's a lot of good reasons for it.
I agree. And this, you know, and a lot of times people don't look at the safety factor because they're like, oh yeah, you know, we're a team, you know, this is what we do, so we're gonna go and do it. And they don't really, you know what they're going into, and it's not what they're used to when things go awry. Like people start
Yeah,
goofing off and doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, or people are going off and like
I know we
disappearing
talked.
and then
Oh,
coming back.
believe me, I've had some people who brought me on to their cases, and when stuff, I said stuff, but I was really gonna say shit at the same time, so it came to stuff. But when shit's about to go down, they literally disappeared, and you know, I was left there with the family, praying over them and all that other stuff, taking care of all that, while they disappeared because they didn't know how to handle this. You know, if you don't know how to handle it, maybe you shouldn't be taking all these types of cases. You know, leave that to people who actually are wholeheartedly wanting to help these people and don't really care. They're trying to gather evidence. They just want to help, you know. And we kind of started talking about this, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but seeing how we've already kind of leaned into it a little bit, you know. But I have seen a lot of paranormal teams who are just not doing any more residentials, you know, private home cases and stuff like that, for whatever reason it may be, because it's a liability, or maybe what's going on is just too much for them, and they don't know how to handle it, you know. So maybe if there's somebody out there who's like listening to this and who's having trouble and can't find a team to help, maybe they should look us up. You know, I don't know. Like I said, how many teams out there are left who are doing residential cases, because, you know, the complexity of what's going on in that home. You know, there's either mental illness, drug abuse, or whatever it is that's going on in that home. More often than not, you know, somebody needs to go in there and just have a conversation with them to really find out what's going on. You know, and I just don't know a lot of teams that would just willing to go and sit and have a conversation with that family or that person, and just try to figure out where it started from and how to really get rid of this thing, or whatever is attacking them, or whatever it may be, or finding the trauma that's leading up to this. You know, I just don't know if there's any more teams that are just willing to sit and have a conversation without trying to gather evidence. You know, but if there's somebody out there who's listening and who's willing and who needs help, I mean, just reach out to me. Sorry, I just needed to say that, but you know,
No, and I agree. And, you know, I'll share this, piggybacking off of what you were saying is I collaborate with teams. I don't really have a team of my own.
yeah,
And so I was talking with John John about scenarios, and I have the mindset of knowing, look, I am by myself. I can easily get over my head doing certain type of cases.
mhm,
So I reach out to him, and meaning John John, and ask him questions and talk to him about it. But I don't take them on unless I'm for sure knowing what I'm stepping into and that I can handle it on my own. And I was like, yeah. And I was, telling him too, if I start getting, contacts from people and they're like asking me this, can I refer to him? Because I know in his life, he's got other things going on. And so I don't want to just assume. And so there's a respect there.
yeah,
And that's where I think a lot of investigators need to be is they need to know what they can do, and if they can't, how to get help themselves
yeah,
to start to learn to do it, or to just have the insight to say, okay, yes, you totally can help me with this, but I don't feel like I'm going to really be an asset to this. Can I just hand it off to you and
yeah,
just step aside? Don't try to be the hero because someone reached out to you and say, yes, I'm an investigator. I can do this. Yes, we're going to do this. And then you're like, oh my God. And it's like you made things worse. And now you need someone to come in to clean up not only what you did,
yeah,
but what was there in the first place. And so
yeah, and
that's just what I wanted to add to what you were saying.
yeah, and that's where a lot of the teams are coming from, saying that they're no longer doing cases because they feel like coming into a location or a house or a family's house, it's making things worse, you know. And to me, I don't understand that because like out of all the 30 something years plus, I mean, probably, I mean, all my life I've been doing this. So I don't understand that because when I go into a house, I really stay there and try to figure out what's going on. And like I told you earlier, sometimes it takes, you know, a couple of days initially after the first visit to really kind of grind it out and really figure out what's going on and dictate them on how to control this and what's going on in their life. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think most paranormal teams are just not willing to do that anymore, and they're just willing to say, "I'm no longer going to do residential cases. I'm just going to stick to going to Yorktown or whatever it may be." You know, those types of locations. But like I said earlier, having wanting to do residential cases is not
The
for the
same.
faint of yeah, no, yeah. You know, you really have to want to go genuinely help people who are going through this type of distress. You know, they have no other way of trying to find help, and then when they try to find somebody, they're going to be like, "No, we can't help you," and then don't even try to send out, you know, either me a message or whatever it is, because a lot of teams now too are very prideful. They rather say no or I can't help you or go in there and mess all things up before they even try to find somebody who is, you know, who has experience in all of this, you know. So, you know,
Right.
it's very it's very hit or miss, which is why I believe, you know, most of the paranormal, you know, now is becoming uh, not something to look forward to anymore.
Yeah, and I also will say I've noticed a lot of times you hear of, situations where a team is called in and they just come in, investigate,
Hmm.
here's our findings, and then move on.
Yeah.
But they really don't do anything to like
Can I go get my
help
charger
or
real
get
quick?
rid of. Sure.
Because my phone's got
And
like back's gonna die.
and so where John and I are is we are friends and we do investigate every once in a while together and we do things because we respect where each other's at and we can collaborate that way. Now, does that mean I get invited onto everything? No. Do I invite him on everything? No. But we, you know, have that comfort and that knowing that we can reach out and ask, a question of each other and
I'm
we're going
back.
to answer respectfully. And so now that John John's back, I'll have to, change what I'm saying because he's here. No, he knows I wouldn't do that.
Sorry, sorry,
No, and
but
one thing.
yeah, I have no idea what you're talking.
Oh, I was just saying how you and I collaborate, and it's because we have mutual respect of where we're at. And do we call each other on cases? No, but if we have questions, we ask each other, and we know we're going to get an honest answer. It may not be what we want to hear, but we know it's honest, and
Yeah,
that's the respect.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that you can only be truthful with friends. I mean,
Yeah,
why,
and
why lie?
I have to say that when you gave me the topics for tonight,
Hmm.
I was in line and I was like mentally preparing myself for that conversation. And you were like, when you said it, I was like, I knew it. And then you threw me one, and I was like, I have no idea you actually were into that. And that's the UFOs.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, because we always are on locations and we're always talking locations, and when we're hanging out we're like, yeah, are you doing this, are you doing that, we're getting caught up, but we don't really go, hey, have you heard about this over there. And so I'm finding more and more people that are into that, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that, and that is so cool.
It's almost like a little hidden thing, that's a little hidden treat almost.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
really like to share that aspect because like it even sounds more crazier than like, oh, you chase ghosts. I'm like, nah.
I know, and I was gonna say, because of the stigma when we were growing up, it's like really hard for us to go, yeah,
Hmm.
I look for those. I research those
Hmm.
because we still are of the age of, you say that word and you could have a straight jacket with your name on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Oregon, so like we lived out in the ranch. So like every night, me and my brother would just sit on the hood of our car, and we lived way out of town. And the town that we even lived by was just a small town, anyways. It didn't have like no big buildings or anything at that time. So we would just sit out there in the ranch on top of the car and just look up at the sky, and we would see like lights move and then pause and then go up and then pause and then go again. I mean, it was like an everyday thing that we would do that. So like that became more of like a love for it. But then also too, we lived in Oregon, so in Oregon is known for Bigfoot as well. So we had that as well.
Yeah,
So I didn't really have like my first experience. I mean, till to this day, I don't know if it's like if it was something supernatural or was it like UAP type of thing. But I remember when I was in like junior high and I heard these voices in the next room, and pretty much our house was, it was like my sister's room on the left hand side, our bedroom on the right hand side, in the middle was the restroom, and then probably about 2 or 3 feet was the big living room, and then the kitchen to the right, and then my parents' room to the left of the kitchen. So it wasn't that big, but in front in our living room, we always I don't know why, but we always had like big windows that would cover our living room walls. So I don't know if that's just an Oregon thing or whatever it may be. But in this particular house, we had a street light that was, right in front of our house. Then my mom had these vines that would go in front of, like, that would crawl. I forgot what they're called. My wife is going to kill me, but she's going to be like, You know what those are called because we garden them every day, whatever they are.
You're talking
Every time
about
I
the
see it,
jasmine
every
ivy?
time, yeah, I have no idea, but it's annoying. But we always buy it at Lowe's or whatever it may be. But it was like covering a little bit of the porch. So, anyways, I'm I wake up. I don't even know what time it is, and I get up and I'm hearing voices. And I'm like, what's going on? So then I walk to the living room and I kind of peek, behind the door, and I'm like, what's going on in there? And I see these two shadows, and they have like a big pointy head, and they're standing face to face, and they're just talking, but they're talking like in weird tongues or whatever it may be. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? But I could only see the silhouettes because the back lit up from the street light was just showing them as like silhouette shadows. And I was like, but they were solid. And I was like, what in the world is that? So I just creep behind and I just go back, go back into my bedroom, and I just put the covers on my face, and I was just like, I have no idea, And I told my parents, and my dad just kind of like brushed it off, but he didn't really want to tell me what was that. But then I've always wondered, like, was that like something ghostly, supernatural, or was that something not from this world? Because now how they describe them is it's how it looked to me, and I was like, oh shit, maybe I did see one at that age or whatever it is, But
Yeah.
even recently, stuff that's happened here at my house. I've had some weird stuff that just I know it's not ghostly related or supernatural related. I know it's UAP related and UFO related. Um, I've had some chats with other, MUFON members and all this other stuff to really try to figure out what's going on there, and still can't figure it out. So
No, I know,
yeah,
and
it's
I,
a
I
weird thing.
I will admit, John, I kind of see you more humanistic now that you say that you went into your room and covered your face. Because
Hey man, I was in middle
I,
school. Okay.
no, I know. I'll just say because the way I know you, you're always like, yeah, whatever, it's gonna come up. I'm gonna take it on head on and
Yeah.
everything. And it's like, because that's the persona we've seen each other with, and
Mhm.
I'm the same way. But it's kind of humbling and kind of funny when we hear, "Oh yeah, I would hide from this," and it's like, wow, we're like kind of leveling out more and like getting
Uh,
more.
no, you're talking to a guy who went to a small little river and stood in the water and was just calling for the Yarona to see if it'll grab my legs in the
Yeah,
water. So
I
like,
know. That's why I'm like, it's amazing to hear that, and it's like kind of humbling to hear that because it's like, yeah, we can, and I think it's good for people to hear that too. That when they see us on like these videos, they see us going like towards everything and going,
mhm,
oh, we're going to, deal with this. We're going to face this. We're not backing down.
yeah,
And they sit there and go, okay, well, that's how, this person's always been that way. I'm not that way. I can't. And so when they see us being like, yeah, I would hide at this point, it's kind of like, oh, they are like me. Oh, mate,
yeah,
and so the future generation, is like, oh, I don't have to be unafraid of everything. I can't, I can
yeah,
grow into that. And it's like, yeah, that's what we did. It's
yeah.
just,
I was human at middle school, but yeah, I've had a lot of incidents that's happened like that. I even had a residential case up in Lubbock area, and we thought it was a ghost case that that was just supposed to be plain and simple and kind of easy, and we went out there and it turned out to be half UFO and half ghost case too. And that one was a crazy one too, because like Mary, I was with Mary. I don't know if you know Mary, from Blue Bonnet Paranormal.
yeah.
So yeah, so I was with her on this case, and we drove all the way out there, and she took care of the inside, and I just had this feeling to go outside, and the guy was telling me like, yeah, I see little lights out in the field over there, but you got to jump this barbed wire fence, and you got to take off over there. So I was like, bet I'll go over there. So it was like around 11 o'clock at night, and I just had my little flashlight with me, and I just jumped that fence and walked in there, and when I got closer, it was like a little dip, kind of like this, and I walked into it, and I just kind of felt this weird energy, like the energy that surrounds us, and it was literally just kind of just going around and going around. And I was like, man, what is this? It just felt weird. It didn't, because I have abilities as well, so like this didn't feel like anything that I felt before, meaning like on a paranormal case or a ghost case or anything like that. It didn't feel that way. It just the energy signature on it was just totally different. So I was just like, man, what is this? And just standing there, just trying to figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a small prayer and see what happens. So break out the little holy water, and I just put a cross on my head, and I just stood there in the middle of the field in that little dip, and I just started saying the prayer. And like the moment that I started saying the prayer, you could feel the wind just keep on going faster and faster and faster. The crazy part was that the guy that the little can't even talk. The dog that was with me was from the case that we were on, so it followed me into the field. So it was right next to me. And the moment that wind started going and going and going, that dog started whimpering, and then it started growling, and the next thing you know, it took off running. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is my cue. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna finish up, and I just stopped praying, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. And I went back up to the house, and I went inside, and I talked to Mary, and she was like, John, something crazy just happened here. And I was like, what? She's like, about 15 minutes ago, like all the I forget what they're called, man. The K2 meters and everything were just going like Christmas trees, going off like. And I was like, how long ago? She was like, about 15 minutes ago. And I was like, oh shit, 15 minutes ago I was saying a prayer over there in that pasture area. And I told her, and I was like, hey, that's freaking crazy. So then I get back out, and then I guess we are just taking a break. She stayed inside, and I went outside. And for some reason, I just like wanted to put my camera towards the sky. So I put my camera up, and then just sitting there, just drinking some water, and then with my eyes, I could see a triangle formation start to form, right above me, and you can see the one light blink, and this other one blink, and then the third one blink, and then they started blinking together, and I'm like looking at it, I was like, holy shit! I'm like, what the hell is happening? So then come out, I get Mary, and I bring her out. She's like, oh, I don't see nothing, or some shit like that. I couldn't remember what she saw, and then I got on my knees, and I decided to say another prayer to see if I can bring it out more, and it just faded away. I got up, and I had this big sticker, probably about the size of my thumb, embedded in my knee, and I'm like trying to pull it out. And once I pulled it out, the camera that was on just fell over, and I was like, that's freaking weird because it's a brand new tripod. Didn't think anything of it. Got home or whatever, and then I started looking at to review evidence. I didn't capture anything, man. It was like dark, and you really couldn't see shit because it was those old handhelds, those, I
Oh
forgot
yeah.
what they're called. They used to sell them on Amazon, but the little handhelds, and they can only go so far. And I didn't capture anything of it, and I was just like thinking about it. I was like, man, like what did I just witness? Was this something like a UFO, or is this family getting visited by something that's like not from this earth or whatever it may be? But yeah, that was like literally my first time on a case that I dealt with something like that before, never before. So, and then it started happening here at my house, but it was that literally happened in one day, and it was like a weird one, and I don't know how much time you got, but it's kind of a long story, but ultimately, I don't know if the message that it sent to me was just for me, or was it just for me to start, letting people know. But it was weird. It was like time slowed down and everything. It was a whole different experience that I ever felt before. So yeah.
No, that's really cool, and we can talk about it at your birthday, and
Oh yeah.
we'll probably maybe even see one at your birthday.
Probably we all sit down in the back.
It's where we sit down anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what.
but I have an interesting question for you
Yeah.
because you being the paranormal researcher and investigator, photographer that you are, and your wife Jordan being paranormal investigator, semi, I'm guessing retired, or is she as active as you are? But
She's
my
active when
question,
she wants to be.
yeah. So having a daughter now, are you, if she grows up and it's like starts having showing like abilities like you have,
Trying to be an
or
X-Men.
you know, an interest in the paranormal, at what point would you sit down with her and say, okay, let's go, on some preliminary investigations, not like
Um,
full house, like going into, who knows what, but kind of introduce her and support her into it? Or would you be like, no, let's let you grow up normal as long as we can and let that come later?
yeah, that's a good question. And I think me and Jordan have talked about this a couple more than a handful of times, and I think our answers always change. But I know for one thing, we're not going to bring her in like very young, So we want to keep a distance as far as paranormal is concerned. Now, granted, because of her both of her parents, myself and her got abilities. There's not really a guarantee, but there's a high percentage that she is going to have some type of ability because we both do, and we all know that it's hereditary. What they see and stuff like that. So, and then on top of that, being what we have in our house already, So
Yeah.
I mean, it can get a little hairy on that aspect, but I for one don't want to bring her in early. As I rather have her be a child, and if she has questions or things, or we start noticing things that are different, then yeah, we're gonna bring them up to her. But in no way do I want her to be afraid of what it is. I do want her to have respect of what the paranormal is, and of course, being who we are, we're going to talk to her and train her and build her faith and all that other stuff. But I'm not going to allow anything to scare her or have her frightened about what's going on in the world. So, but most importantly, she needs to have respect about what's in this field. So.
Yeah. And I know this question may sound strange,
Mhm.
but with her going to school and with her, maybe experiencing stuff at school and kids maybe not understanding and causing issues,
Yeah.
how supportive versus how much would you tell her, hey, let's not talk about this in public like this. Let's, wait till you get home. How would you handle that?
So, we're kind of up in age, so I'm kind of like in the mid 40s right now. So, back when we were growing up, just even speaking a word about there's a ghost in my house, or I'm seeing people or dead people or whatever it may be, there's always usually a call to the principal's office that goes along after that conversation.
Oh
but
yeah.
now, but nowadays, it's almost very normalized, but it's hard because now it's trying to get them on the right path. It's not like, hey, just because you're a paranormal investigator doesn't mean that you got to be a witch, doesn't mean that you got to dabble with the Ouija board. It doesn't have to be any of that. We don't, and we still investigate. We still go help people. It's not trying to get her to get brainwashed about what's going on with social media and all that other stuff. It doesn't have to be that. There's
Right.
other aspects to it. Yeah, her great great grandma, was involved in witchcraft and all that other stuff, and then her grandpa, you know, my dad, he turned that around and wanted to help people with, his prayers and his abilities and all that other stuff. And then her dad and her mom are pretty much the same. They want to help people who are going through this type of stuff. So, it's all about breaking those generational chains and helping her realize, like, hey, there's good in some of this. You don't have to fall into those social media traps, so to speak. So, you know, I just want to make sure that she grows up the right way and don't fall into all that other stuff. But if she has problems at school with with that type of stuff, then hey, come to us and we'll figure it out.
And here's one for the flip side. And I know
Thank you for that.
you. Hmm?
Oh, what's her name? Good
Oh,
creation.
hooking good.
Tina.
Say
Thank you. I said
happy
just say,
birthday.
yeah. I just told
Yeah.
her thank you. But anyway, go
So
ahead.
on the flip side, because you've had a little bit of exposure with being on a TV show as a guest kind
Mhm.
of deal,
Mhm.
if when she gets into her late teens, early 20s, and she's like, Mom, Dad, I'm pursuing paranormal TV. I'm going to be going and doing this. I'm going to be going and doing that. Are
Mhm.
you going to be the type of parents that are like, great, more power to you, let us help you along the way, or are you going to be like, no way, are you doing TV? That is not the media you
Mhm.
want to be involved in. We're not, don't do it.
Well, this is weird because me and Jordan had like I think it was a couple of days ago where we're like, what are we gonna do if she wants to be like an actor or whatever it is, And well, when we get there, we'll get there. But yeah, I mean, Jordan wants her to have a good good education and all that other stuff, which is important. So I mean, yeah, she has to do that. Regardless of where she ends up at, she still needs that education. We always try to tell her that she's going to be a doctor, a surgeon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if she falls into this field like that, I'm like, oh, okay, man, let me look over those contracts too, because I've been burned a couple of times, and I've dealt with people who are just very slick when it comes to writing out contracts and TV contracts. I'm like, let's see if we want to dabble in that. But I mean, she's one now, 1.5. So who knows how it's going to be in 20 years, how the paranormal field is going to look like. So
Right.
it might be non-existent. We might have all the answers, and we're just like, never mind. We don't need to do this no more.
Yeah. Well, and I was kind of thinking, as you with your background,
Mhm.
if she's in the paranormal, you hear a lot of people are like, oh, this celebrity is getting cast in this movie because their family is in
Mhm.
Hollywood, so to speak. So
Yeah.
would you ever sit back and go, is she getting this offer because legitimately she's this, or is she getting this offer because she's my daughter and her namesake?
I mean, I have a beautiful daughter, so who knows?
No,
But
I
yeah,
know, but I'm just meaning, how would you keep yourself from, going in your mind and going, I know she's talented, I know she's good at what she's doing, but are these people approaching and giving this deal because of my name? Or is it legitimately because of seeing her in action?
I don't think I have a name in the paranormal, at least not anymore. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, how I kind of just literally took a step back from just promoting the team and promoting myself.
Right.
I mean, so I mean, me from right now versus me when I was like, I mean, 10 years ago, maybe not even that long, you know, major change because I was all about promote, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I had a TV deal here and I had a TV deal there and all this other stuff. Now I'm just kind of like, I mean, there's even a couple of thoughts of like even me stepping back, from the paranormal. But then I'm like, I still love the adrenaline rush of it,
Yeah.
So I mean, if she is gonna get a deal out of that, then hopefully it's because of what she can do, as opposed to who she knows. That will tell you right away if this is going to be something legit or not. But I'd rather have her be a surgeon or something, or some type of doctor, than jump in the paranormal field. So
You know, you never know. She could become one of those psychic surgeons.
oh my gosh, I feel like I need to insert the
Combine
cut
both
here.
words. Combine both worlds.
Yeah, let's not do that. She don't need to be seeing ghosts while she's in open heart surgery.
Uh,
I mean,
or be
performing.
like, yes, by pulling out this, we have now removed what's alien, and this person will be much better now.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. No, but no, I mean, I've
Yeah.
been we're very cautious about everything with her and those other stuff. So I mean, even with my kids, my older kids, they sense and see stuff too, but it's really hard for them to grasp what's going on in their life because they just don't really know how to. They don't really know how to bring up the conversation and then try to have an actual real conversation about it. And even though I've told them, because you are my kids, stuff is going to happen because of not only what I do, but because you're my child, so stuff is always going to try to intervene, somehow, but
Yeah.
sometimes they want to listen, sometimes they don't. That's what you get with 20-year-olds. So like
Right.
they just rather not listen and go figure out for themselves. But yeah, we're gonna try our best with Penelope and see what happens, see where she goes
Yeah,
from there.
and it feels so weird, like thinking about this because it's like I'm not, related to Penelope, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, God, where am I gonna be when she's doing this? And where,
Dude,
would I be able to contribute and help her, or would I be like, nope, I'm staying out of the side,
yeah,
staying in my lane, And it's like it's so weird to be thinking about that because it's
yeah,
like you're saying, we don't even know if what we're doing is going to be around, and so it's really
yeah.
hard to really plan and think about how is this
We,
going to unfold because
yeah,
there's no guarantee, and we put all this energy into yes, and then like you're saying, something happens and the answers are unveiled, and it's like,
mhm.
oh, well then I guess we're retired. I guess
Yeah,
that's
pretty
the end
much.
of an era.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what technology is going to look like, in 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So they just put like, oh yeah, just insert that chip right there, and you'll be able to see everything in the world. And be like, what, really? Okay. How many people would do
Yeah.
that? Probably a whole lot. I would be
Not
like,
me,
eh.
because I would be concerned. What is generating what it's showing? Is it legitimately what's out there, or is it a program
Yeah,
that's
for real.
making stuff appear? And you're like, oh,
It's like that weird thing where I forgot what it is. It's like they take them a type of shroom, and then if you put on,
ayahuasca.
yeah, then you see that little matrix code
Yeah.
in the lasers. It's like, really? I kind
Yeah.
of want to try that. I just want to see it for myself. I mean, honestly, I would. I would try
Well,
to
and I always wanted to
see what
try
it is.
the helmet with the goggles that was supposed to make you see spirits that are around. It was like supposed to alter the mind so that you could see. And I
with
saw a
the
TV show.
with the red light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy on the TV show was doing it, and then when he took it off, he's like, "Oh my god, I had this massive headache," and I was like,
Mhm.
"It's not worth it. I don't want those goggles anymore because I could only imagine what's causing that headache is, and I don't do VR. Like
Yeah.
I won't put any VR goggles because
You gotta run through
I
the whole.
know it's manipulating the mind to make you think this is real.
Yeah.
And what after effect does that have? Because you're rewiring your mind.
Mm.
How do you unwire and
Yeah.
go, okay, we're back to reality?
Yeah. I got you. I don't know. I guess I will try anything, to see what's going on, you
I'll let you go first then.
know. I'm not putting no computer chip in my brain. I ain't trying to do all that. I'll eat a mushroom real quick though, but I ain't trying to do no computer brain stuff.
Yeah. So we got like 5 minutes left to the hour and a half, and
Okay.
I know you got stuff to do and things to do tomorrow to get up for. So, do you have anything you want to promote out that you got coming up, or any of your art that you want to promote?
Uh,
Photography, I mean.
as far as photography right now is concerned, I'm trying to put together a book, and trying to get that out there. But I'm also trying to write a book for the paranormal stuff too. So that's all in progress right now because every time I have something good and I'm like, okay, I'm almost done, then I get another case and I'm like, oh, this case was good too. I'm gonna add that, and it just seems to build. But anyways, the only thing that I got coming up, which is September 19th, I am hosting it's a food festival here in Temple. It's called Tamales, Tacos, and Cumbias. So we're blocking off some streets here, and we're going to be hosting a lot of food trucks and stuff like that, and fun for the whole entire family. So, and it's free to the public. So, if you guys want to come out, try some authentic Mexican food, and listen to some Mexican music, and jam out with us. This is it, September 19th. If you just want to follow us, our event's on Artist to Artist Showcase, and that's where everything is going to be at. But as far as like the paranormal side of things, we got a couple of cases coming out. I mean, not coming out, but coming up. Um, all residential. I'm still trying to figure out our ghost tours simply because a lot of our locations here in Temple have been like bought up and tore down, and apartments been put on top of them. So it's our places, our locations are just dwindling as we speak. So it's harder and harder and harder for us to find anything nowadays. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and so my last question for you, ultimately, the last question:
Yeah.
what is your wish and vision for the paranormal field going into the future?
Oh my God.
Because it is
As a
ever
person, as
changing, and so
yeah,
yeah.
as a person who is kind of, I mean, I hate to announce it on here, but as a person who is kind of like 50% in and 50% out right now, I'm the only thing that I would want to change is the overexposure of people, so like clients. So that you see a lot of people who are just going into locations and just, I'm gonna do a live and all this other stuff, and just worry about the camera instead of what's going on in the house, and try to help these people. That is one thing that I wish that could change, because that's all I ever see is just people is just, I'm here at this family's house, and they give them the whole information about the whole entire family is, and all this other stuff, and they're just worried about where the camera is aiming instead of actually worrying about what's going on in Joe and Susan's house, whatever the hell. So if there's anything, I would change that. Hopefully it would change. But
Yeah.
it's
Personally, I would be like, stop putting people's public,
yeah,
info out publicly.
no,
That should remain private.
yeah, it's a shock how creators now just don't care about the privacy of just the clientels or the locations or anything like that now. So, you know, that's one thing that I do pride myself on. Like whenever we do get a case, I don't post it. I don't post where their location is. I don't post what their names are, or anything like that. If anything, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm in Temple, Texas, and I'm helping a family out, and kind of like a brief description. But that's about it. That's all they're gonna get. I'm not gonna expose anybody. So you know, that's one thing I would change, is that aspect of things.
Yeah. For me, I would say the community uniting in a way like I look at Justin, Kellen, you, and I.
Yeah.
All four of us have very different backgrounds, but yet we can get together, talk,
Hmm.
discuss things, and don't always agree on the outcome or the verdicts, but we're civil, supportive, and I feel like none of us will sit there and go, well, I have more expertise, so
Yeah.
obviously I know more and I'm better in this. Where in the community that comes up so much is people get dismissed or don't get a voice
Yeah.
because they're considered too new.
Yeah.
So that's where I say more unity and community is like what the four of us do when we're hanging out, is just talking, supporting each other, being there for each other. And that's what I would like to see, more of in the community, and less of this me, and I need to get known. I want the TV show, so I got to do this and this. And it's like, forget everybody that's helped me along the way.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and tell Penelope and Jordan I said hello, and I
Oh
look
well.
forward to seeing them next month. And as always, I say this so often to you, but I do mean it. Thank you for including me in like your birthday bashes and your events and everything. And it is so appreciated, because there are times where I feel like I just am here, isolated out, and then it's like you'll message me and say, "Hey, are you coming to this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not on the outs.
Birthday
Cool."
bash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
No, man, I
thank you for
appreciate your
that.
friendship.
And I do have one last message for you, and you can share this with Jordan.
Okay.
And that is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity and the paranormal community. And thank you for being you and authentically you, and standing up for, everyone in the paranormal, and standing up for what's right, and not just standing up for getting ratings. And so thank you for being authentically you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, and you're welcome.
And with that, we are going to say goodnight, everyone. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. And do keep an eye out, and, subscribe, like, follow John John and his photography pages. All his links are in the description. And follow my show, because you never know when John John will be making another appearance. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.